You lit my star baby boo 이렇게 너를 볼 때마다 온몸이 간지러운 걸 어떡해 모르겠니 말하지 않아도 난 너와 너만 잊고 들어볼래 일곱빛 간질해 우리 둘이 처음 느껴본 설레 그 시작의 암호 찌릿찌릿 지금 너에게 보내 찌릿찌릿 넌 날 닮아 그 끝빛으로 물들어 찌릿찌릿 난 느껴지는 걸 찌릿찌릿 날 기다리는 걸 새하얀 구름 타고 나에게 날아가 볼래 저기 저 무지개 사이로 언제쯤 내게 닿을까 열사 조금은 보여줄래 한 발짝 나에게 먼저 다가와줄래 my boy 수줍은 나를 잡아 깨지 않을 dream dream 향기로운 이 느낌 내 마음 가득 모아오게 해줄래 나른한 햇살 아래 우리의 색으로 번져가 함께야 이 순간 숨을 쉬고 샤르르르 녹아들어 너만 비춰줄래 잠든 내 마음을 깨울러 영원히 간직하고 싶은 내 첫사랑
Good evening. Sorry about that delay. I was just adding alt text to the stream announcement on Mastodon. Welcome back to the dwarven fortress of Keskalokil by the sea, where we might possibly, with the following wind, have a signalling system for our minecarts that actually works. I'm slightly uncertain. I think the flip-flops, or I suppose axle counters, based on minecarts, because obviously the way you keep track of where your minecarts are is with minecarts. I wonder if you could actually do that. You have a little shadow circuit where you have minecarts that move around in the same way as the minecarts are the real thing. But where obviously because it's smaller, you can actually have continuous track circuiting. I think that might not work because of the need to put rollers in and the need to stop the minecarts on the pressure plates. I wonder. Anyway, yes, the minecarts, the flip-flops or track circuits based on minecarts were not working quite right. Possibly because I've got the weights wrong. The example on the wiki just says different weight minecarts, but I think the collision dynamics may make some difference to how things work. And I think we may have the weight difference between the two kinds of minecart wrong. Because I think the way that when this roller here, for instance, propels to the right, I think what that actually does is to cause an immediate collision between these minecarts. And so what matters is how a collision between a willow minecart, an empty willow minecart travelling right, and a stationary and much, much heavier platinum minecart behaves. And I think with that huge weight difference, the willow minecart ends up bouncing backwards, and the platinum minecart moves forwards very slowly. This one, I think, may turn out to work better. Oh, I thought that wooden minecart was full of water, but it's not. Okay, well, there's that guess. Or is it this one that's full of water? No, they're both empty. But but I think the northern one behaved as I expected it to, and both minecarts moved. But I slightly wonder if you really want minecarts of similar but not quite identical weights here. But yeah, I'm not sure. I'm slightly tempted to switch this over to the Newton's cradle memory, which requires slightly more space, but can be done with a pair of identical weight minecarts. And so its physics might be less confusing, not sure. Yeah, we did empty one of the minecarts. I didn't know if it was this one though. Right, let me switch my yes, I've started the IRC laptop, I just haven't moved to it across to it yet. One moment. There we go. Right, so yes, well let's do some more testing, because I think it now all works in that all of these track circuits are showing empty apart from N5 and S5, which is correct, and so are the... Oh no, that's showing full, isn't it? So the correct N5... So that's the entrance to N5. And so it is correct to say that 5 are full. It is not correct. Hang on, what? I'm now a little bit concerned. Oh, right. Those are also N5, aren't they? Right. Yes, which is fine. And I'll go. Why did I decide to do those ones like that? Why did? Oh, I think it might be that, yes, it was because I couldn't organise the approach locking sensibly, because, or at least I could possibly have, but it would have been a really, really tangled system of gears. Yes, so that's why it is. So that one, which is indeed labelled S5 state old, in order to remind me that it's not current, although it does reflect truth more or less. So yes, the one place that's filled is 5, which is correctly, yes. Let's just set those minecarts going again, if they're currently turned off, and let them run round a couple more times. Let's also rename them subtly, because I was going to say call them N1, but then that's very confusing because the signal sections are also called N1. NA and SA for now. Because, of course, part of what we should be able to do is to have more minecarts on each loop. But yeah, since we believe that this will work, let's set them off going again and just see if it actually does. Meanwhile, let's build a few more weapon traps, because those will help with catching goblins, or at least encouraging goblins to dodge into the water. That square looks like a good square to dodge away from. And I think we should just fill it with the worst weapons we can find. We have a vast quantity of copper picks, but let's start with putting in 3 copper warhammers. Yeah, and then fill it otherwise with copper picks, because curiously we have quite a lot of copper picks available. that square I think we can't reach. They tend to like crossing this way. Let's land another one there. Put in some copper mauls and a copper spear and some more copper picks, I think. No, let's go for copper pikes instead. Oh, maybe we need to build a short bridge to get out there. Oh yes, that was the thing I wanted to build, wasn't it? It occurred to me that there was a point in the last siege when it would have been really useful to send a bunch of non-swimming dwarves around to attack the goblins from the back. And so what I think I should do is build a bridge across the East River somewhere, a drawbridge across the East River somewhere up here, so that then we can suddenly open a way to get soldiers into the rear of the goblin army. So let's... Is it a machine or is it just a construction? Bridge. So a drawbridge, I think that'll make it retracting. We'll have it fold up to the west because that looks right. And in particular, that would then mean that dwarves could hide behind it until the time comes to cross the river. Let's put it down here. Thought I just clicked suitably on both sides. Okay, I'm slightly worried I may... No, that seems to be the correct number. We could make it out of rock, but probably making it out of wood is easier. I've got plenty of siltstone blocks available though. So then the idea of this is we'll have a lever that lowers it, and then the dwarves will be able to rush out from behind, rush out over that bridge, possibly fell that tree, and get the goblins, who will presumably be somewhere around here at that point. And that way those dwarves can engage the goblins on their own preferred terrain, namely that which is not full of water. Also, making it out of wood means we can use the wood that's quite nearby.
What are the angry red bits?
There are lots of red. I don't know which bits are angry. This random trail of red here is I think a trail of hazelnuts, bizarrely. Quite why there's a linear trail of hazelnuts is a very good question.
Why they look like the squirrels have gone in for mass murder is also an open question.
The red bits here are dead Monera. The red bits here are bauxite pedestals with goblin skulls on them. The red everywhere else is fallen leaves because it's the end of summer and we're and so all the leaves are falling off the trees and are red. Yes, I'm not quite sure what's going on with that streak. He says, discovering that long streak of hazelnuts has vanished now. So possibly someone dropped hazelnuts all over the ground and has now picked them up. What are you dwarves wandering around with? Oh, you're carrying apricots back to turn into apricot wine. Yes. What are all those bees? I mean, there's an obvious answer to what are all those bees, which is bees. Oh no, they're agitated buzzards. Though apparently the agitated buzzards are foolishly getting into fights with the doctor, who really is not taking prisoners. The doctor has a crutch, and while dwarves will generally not use weapons when confronted by angry wildlife, they don't consider crutches to be weapons. And it turns out that a doctor with a crutch and a grudge could quite rapidly kill buzzards with it. Despite only being a novice crutch walker, do you have... Dabbling misc object user is, I think, the skill that goes into beating buzzards to death with your crutches. Yep, that's Doctor 4, buzzards nil. So there appears to be a forbidden crutch there. Has the doctor left their crutch behind? I should perhaps check the combat logs. Can anyone remember which doctor it was? All right, that'll do. Yes, you seem to have left your crutch behind you. Oh, possibly because your leg's healed. Well, okay, no, it is still bone torn open, but you don't have a unable to stand complaint. Like if you would, I think, have unable to stand here if your injury was actually bad enough that you couldn't stand on it, even though you appear to have a fractured leg. But you appear to be walking fine, so I think you might not, or maybe you found a new crutch. No. Right, we're now taking the dead buzzards back to the fortress for butchering.
Is that because buzzards give good meat or what?
They possibly give some meat. They certainly give bones that we can turn into trinkets.
Right, okay. So buzzard bone hair ornaments are going to be the rage next.
I think bones we only turn into bracelets.
Okay, whatever.
I don't think dwarves have worked out hair ornaments, which seems kind of weird. They have crowns, but not. Yeah, I mean, you kind of assume that dwarves are generally fairly hairy and thus might want things to put in their hair. Possibly. I was thinking more things carved from bone, but
Combs,
yes.
which you can put in your hair, but also are both vital hair management tools. That are definitely available in civilizations at least as mature as Wolf Fortress.
I should mark more of these Monera bits for dumping because we don't need them. I think Monera have quite a lot of arms, hence these first and second upper arms.
Weasel. I've got a bit of Hamlet with a weasel in it.
Methinks it is like unto a weasel, or whatever the thing about the cloud is.
Yep. She's back like a weasel.
No one seems to be pushing these mine carts around, which is slightly disappointing. But on the other hand, no one is getting into enormous fist fights, which was the problem we had at the end of the last session.
Why was that?
I don't know, I think they were just grumpy.
Yeah.
Let's construct a few more tombs if we've got doors. Oh yes, and we were working on the possibilities of draining the East River properly. Weren't we? Surely involves going down deeper than this because we've still got clay there. Surely we have to go all the way down to this level. Ah, which we do indeed, yes. Right. So that's Z level -6. Right. Though we will probably get cancellations again because it's all wet down there. Unforbid those willow logs because they've managed to get sucked into the drainage system, and dispose of what is almost certainly a piece of goblin. Yeah, my plan is not to permanently drain the East River. It's just to be in a position to temporarily drain the East River. So simply to make it easier to get stuff out of it. Including like surprise dwarves. Though I do rather hope the cat is sparring. What? Why are the cats sparring?
Insufficient fish.
Right. I don't understand. The Axe Lord charges at the stray cat. The stray cat looks, as it might, surprised by the ferocity of the Axe Lord's onslaught.
You saddle golf.
Hopefully the imprisoned dwarves are now able to be happier. Guilty after being confined, but pleasure near a fine restraint. And also, like, get to eat and drink quite well. Oh, apparently they're now complaining that they haven't got mugs. Okay, you can have a tiny mug stockpile next to each chain. Well, actually, I'll make it a single stockpile that covers all of the chains, but so it wants to be finished goods, types, goblets, all possible materials. We could possibly make them the highest possible quality as well. Like if we go for only masterwork goblets. Wonder if that will work. And then do not allow bins, because we do actually only want one goblet in each square of the stockpile. See if that works. I think the Axe Lord is one of mine. Why they got into a fight with the cat, I've no idea. I've just realised we do appear to be storing booze barrels on top of staircases. I hope that's fine. Oh, there's a trundling minecart. Excellent.
You're deceiving yourself if you think that you're firm of purpose.
Right, so the North Dwarf Washer has just completed a cycle.
No one's dead.
And N1 shows empty, N2 shows empty, N3 shows empty, N4 shows empty, N5 brackets old shows occupied, N5 brackets new shows occupied. That's good. Oh, there's a problem. This minecart seems not to be escaping from the washer. Like every time it gets propelled forwards, it stops on the ramp and rolls back. Well, I'm glad no one's riding in it. What's going on there? Like, that would suggest that I've got one of the roller speeds wrong, but surely I didn't even change the speed of that roller. Well, let's just check that all the signalling system's working correctly for that one. So S1 empty, S2 empty, S3 empty, S4 empty, S5 occupied, S5 occupied. So the signalling system's working fine, but apparently the minecart propulsion system is not adequately propelling that minecart up the ramp.
I'm not
Is there some way that that ramp is invalid? Doesn't look like it. Like, it goes up there, there's a wall next to it. There's a track stop at the top which does not have a minecart sitting on it.
You need enough oomph to get up the ramp.
Yes, but the rollers below should be providing that, and notably worked perfectly well for the north loop. So Jutton says, in this system, is any natural momentum a minecart had lost reset when it passes over rollers? No, they keep their forward momentum, which does mean that there might be something like, for some reason, it got slowed down and thus couldn't be accelerated again. But either this roller is set to speed 5, which is the fastest it can be, or it's set to speed 4, which is the same speed as many of the other rollers. I mean, maybe before it came, no. So I'm confused by why that's stopping. It doesn't have anything in it, and in any case, rollers set speed, not momentum. I mean, in theory, we can drain the whole system and get this minecart out. I think actually we should test some more with the northern cart. Let's switch the northern one to ride. Even if the southern one is temporarily broken. We observe here a dwarf on a minecart who is now getting to learn to swim by going backwards and forwards very quickly. They're already an adept swimmer, so this is kind of unnecessary. But yes, the approach locking there caused them to oscillate for a bit. Again, approach locking causing oscillations there. And they get to come back up to the start. So, of course, the thing to achieve now is come up with a way to put a second minecart onto that loop. Which we can do, but we need to be a bit careful about the timing. What I think we want, and this may require... So what we obviously want to do, and this is tricky to organise, is to set... And I've just worked out how we should do this, and we can't do it with the current setup, is that once this minecart has set off, we want to mark this section as being occupied again, and then put another minecart in it. But that's a bit tricky because we have to time pulling the mark this section as occupied lever for a time when that section is not marked as occupied. Or do we? If we just pull the mark the section as occupied lever now, then it will stay shown as occupied, whatever happens. And then we load it up with another minecart, and that might work. I was thinking the neater approach would actually be to have the detector for entering that section be somewhere where we could put a minecart. So you would put a minecart there and then set it going, and the act of placing the minecart there would mark the section as occupied. Though, of course, you really need it to be marked as occupied already in case another minecart arrives. Let's just go for mark. So you want to mark N5 as occupied permanently. So if we pull that lever once, then at some point someone will mark that section as occupied, and like it doesn't really matter when that happens, I think. But then the next person who rides the minecart will find that it can't doesn't return. Then we just have to get the next minecart configured before the dwarf riding the first one dies of thirst, which like shouldn't be too hard to achieve, surely. Let's just see what's going on with those buzzards. Do indeed have like an agitated buzzard mangled skull there. All the other buzzard components appear to have gone. We've only got 2 buzzard corpses left. So I think that's generally looking good for buzzard bits. We seem to have now let's just quickly mark some of the, we seem to have a pile of rather battered armour here, which can probably usefully be melted down. Obviously we're now in the state where even the most terrible weapons should be stuffed into weapon traps. Not quite sure why there's such a big pile of... Oh, that's a bin I'm randomly selecting and melting things from. Well, that's fine anyway. I was actually intending to dispose of these 2 teeth and was noting the existence of that battle axe there, which is for some reason forbidden and obviously shouldn't be. Presume this dwarf... I presumed... Oh yes, I should unpause. That dwarf is actually going to pull the lever that needs pulling. Right, thank you. That's not going to work, is it? Because of the way... Oh, it will work, but it will work very dangerously. Oh well. What I've just done, I think... oh no, that's fill, isn't it? Yes, that will work. No, that will work correctly, actually. So now notice that N5 is continually running its fill roller. So when this minecart leaves, it will immediately become marked as full again, and then it will be safe to turn that off and then install a minecart on it. We are getting people who just wander up here and hang around there for a bit now, which is nice. So now we just need someone to ride Dwarf Washer NA again. We should put some more of these heads on pedestals, shouldn't we? Estra Slackswell's head. That's a good name. Slackswell. Surely it's in here somewhere. There it is. Estra Slackswell's head. Monera are, I think, treated as intelligent, so they can't be butchered. But they're not goblins, and so I don't stick their heads on spikes. Well, pedestals, because we don't have spikes. Well, you can make spikes, but I don't think you can stick goblin heads on them. Oh yes, and is that... yes, there is actually what I think is a goblin head in the middle of the river that needs to be retrieved. Maybe we can retrieve that by draining the river. Right, well, we're almost... this is a slightly trickier fight with a buzzard, because the herbalist who is doing the fighting doesn't have a crutch to beat it to death with. So one slight problem with my drainage plan is that we need to drain things pretty quickly in order to make sure that the aquifer doesn't immediately flood our drain before it can drain, if you see what I mean. So where is this fight with a buzzard going on then? Yeah, okay, that was a pretty effective bit of punching. Yeah, that's another dead buzzard. Apparently agitated animals are ones that object to the amount of ecosystem damage we're doing by cutting the trees down. I mean, object might be slightly the wrong word, but...
I have visions of them in this case behaving like Swampy.
Now, I think they just attack dwarves.
The direct action
Yes.
card of Woodland Animals Anonymous or something.
Where's a miner? We are very slowly filling up these weapon traps. Possibly we should make another one. Actually, we can reach that square, can't we? Because we can do it diagonally from there. Hang on, no. I want to make sure that we have automatically choose all the objects turned off when building weapon traps. Because otherwise it just randomly fills them with whatever weapons it happens to be able to find. Which will probably mostly be bows, which is like, you can do that, but... Well, since we've got a large serrated iron disc lying around... Surely we've still got some copper picks that I can select. Oh well, let's just choose things more or less at random. Don't want to fill everything with crossbows, because then those have to be loaded. Got a zillion iron picks. There we go. Where is our miner? All right, the miner is actually on their way. So yes, the aim here is that we dig down and then horizontally until one square before the map edge, and then we should be able to carve fortifications in the map edge, which should get the water out. And that will at least mean that this vertical shaft drains properly. But they'll immediately stop digging there because it's wet. So we need to mark that square for digging and hope they immediately come back down. Ditto that one. We can see it's already slightly damp down here. Then we mark those squares for smoothing. And all being well, we can get those smoothed and carved into fortifications before it starts seriously flooding down here. For some reason there's a pool of Etin blood on that level. Oh well. Right, and then actually we're going to want to do more digging shaped things. So down on this level, we probably want something that extends across much of the width of the river. I'm not quite sure what shape this ends up being, because we've got this bend in the river that's going to get the that's going to get quite fiddly. So time for 3 more copper picks and 2 more bins if we've got any copper. Well, I mean, we do keep melting things down, so one might hope we would have enough copper to make more copper picks, which we will then just stick into weapon traps. Yes, we have. Can't remember the numbers, but 3 of each will do. Right, how are things going with those mine carts? Right, so we're now in a position where that minecart is waiting at a signal with a doctor on it who is going to eventually start getting rather thirsty. He's currently just ashamed of having no shoes. He's already an adept swimmer, so doesn't really need to be there, but hey. But now what we can do is we can pull that lever again to stop forcibly marking that track section as occupied, and then once that's done, we then load a second minecart into that route. But that has to wait until the that has, oh, there's our, well, there's someone anyway, yes. That has to wait until the relevant track section is no longer marked as occupied. Yeah, what? I think I pressed the buttons in the wrong order there. Also found some rose quartz down there. Well, obviously we should mine that. Oh, come on. Right, yes, good. Slightly inefficient mining in wet ground.
Newt.
Now, lots of dwarves are coming down here to collect rose quartz. Come along. Oh, it's the anniversary of the start of the game. So, yes, then what do we need to do about getting the water down here?
Towels and also one clean shirt.
I think we go vertically upwards for the most part. And like dig a annual tribute has arrived.
Looks okay to me. Just my phone.
Anyone coming to finish off this mining, or have you got distracted? Right. So that lever has been pulled now. This dwarf has changed roles, but is still not hungry or thirsty. So now what we can do, so now in particular, both of the N5 things are disengaged, but it's marked as full. But that means that when a minecart leaves it, it will immediately become marked as empty. So this means that we can now add a new route, which I would really like to be able to put after Dwarf Wash NA, but I don't know if I can change the order they appear in, which will be called Dwarf Washer NB, which will be basically a copy of NA. It has a single stop there, which has a condition of push off of ride south immediately, always. Actually, we usually do it the other way so that it's easier to turn off. And and we assign that a masterwork minecart's probably best. And then once that's installed, then our dwarf who is currently riding the minecart will get to go somewhere else. Well, once that's installed and has been set moving. And then we have the interesting thing that dwarves will get stuck in the dwarf washer until some other dwarf comes along to ride another minecart. Another vile force of darkness. Have we finished building that bridge yet? We have, but it's down. That's a bit of a problem. And they aren't seeking a parley. On the other hand, when they turn up not seeking a parley, they tend to be quite small forces. Like so far there are 2 of them. If that's the lot. Yeah. They took one look at our fortress and decided they did not want to be there. Right, we should install a lever somewhere to operate this bridge. I think we should install... should we install that back in the main fortress, or should we keep it close to the bridge? I think we want it back in the main fortress so that there are civilians around. The civilians who operate it don't go close to the battle. So... since it's going to be indoors, let's have the best mechanism we can find. Because then when people see it, they will be cheered. Right. So here we have a minecart. It is in position. However, that miner appears just to have, that dwarf appears just to have started riding it. So what should now happen is that this signal should clear, and this dwarf should finally be able to get off their minecart. Meanwhile, there are a couple of goblin thieves down there. Let's wait a bit and see if we detect any more. Plus I want to watch this minecart finally departing. Rather continuing. Do hope it does. Yes, there it goes. The station was unoccupied and therefore that minecart can arrive. Right, 3 is a much more plausible number of goblin thieves. Let's just set the cobalt tongs to the job of killing them all. Since they took advantage of my new bridge, which I need to get out of the way. What are you doing there? You appear to have no activity, and so you're standing on the minecart. Well, that might be safe. Ooh, a 4th goblin thief. Where's the 4th one? Still only see 3. Let's just check that there are 4 and I haven't just got confused. No, there are definitely 4. And to be fair, Steph says darkness apparently subsists in threats to the law of property. Yes, as Simon says, thieves is a euphemism in that they mostly want to steal live dwarven children. So there are those three. Oh, there's the fourth one. Right. Yes. Now, most of the dwarves just ignore the goblin thieves on the grounds that they're, well, not actually doing any harm yet. But some military dwarves should turn up soon and will have very much their own opinions about what to do with goblin thieves. The dogs seem to like attacking them, at least. I do sometimes think I should actually schedule soldiers for hanging around up here rather than entirely in the downstairs. Okay, yes, this doctor is quite capable of breaking bones. Our rabbits are doing a pretty decent job. A rabbit has destroyed the goblin thief's trousers. And cloak. Do not get into a fight with Keskalokil's livestock. You will not come out well. The doctor punches the goblin thief in the throat and the injured part collapses. A major artery has been opened. I think that goblin thief is probably going to bleed out fairly quickly if they haven't already. And the embarrassing thing is that they're going to be mostly killed by a rabbit. Yep, dead goblin. I mean, I'm slightly sad that it was the horse that actually did the final killing, but... Oops. We're all doing all right so far. Oh right, someone's actually turned up with a weapon. That's cheating. So far we've been killing them with what, livestock. Stabbing a goblin thief with a spear is just making it too easy. I think goblins who are actually just minding their own business will be left alone. Only goblins who are, like, at war with us who are a problem. Or thieves. I mean, that doesn't mean it's not okay to kill them. So yes, I think, yeah, and I think that the legal system in Dwarf Fortress is not very well developed yet. Have we got that lever in place yet? No. Oh, because it's got suspended for some reason. Meanwhile, let's have a look down here and check we haven't flooded everything terribly yet. Let's mark that entire wall for smoothing. I think I've got that right. Oh right, no, we're in paint mode. Well, let's do that then. It would be nice if we could see which things were marked for smoothing. So how many goblins have we got left? Is there one or two? There's one. They're running away from a well-armed dwarf. Oh dear, too late. Should probably find the other dead goblins. So this one managed to run away quite effectively for a while. But essentially being essentially unarmoured and then passing out from exhaustion, which like is an excellent way to put yourself at the mercy of someone who's running up behind you with a battle axe. That means there's a loose head around here somewhere. Well, any spare bits will be collected up. That's an arm which we don't have much use for. Mark everything else as reusable. Where are the other two? I mean, the goblin bits will be hauled over to over to this stockpile, which is in the wrong place anyway. It's not like they'll go stinking the place up, but it might be nice to work out where the other two dead goblins are. There's one. And I've dealt with that one already. That was the first one to die, wasn't it? Yes. I can't find the fourth one. Oh well. Sure, it'll turn up eventually. And like the dwarves will put the goblin corpses over here, so or at least the any goblin body parts that they come across. I'm not quite sure how far east we need to dig here, because I don't quite know where we're going to penetrate the underside of the river. Suppose we only actually need to go out if we penetrate the bottom of the river here, we can just go that far, can't we? Yeah, let's dig as far as I decided to dig before. That's probably safe. Right, and now we'll mark all of that for smoothing. I suppose if we marked the rest for smoothing, then we would get less leakage into here, but frankly the amount we're going to get leaking in here is so tiny compared to the amount that we're going to get from the river. It's hardly worth worrying about. So then I think we want to like continue a slot there. If we make it wider, then we can channel it from this side. But there is this danger I'm slightly worried about channeling things from the side, because that led to lots of people falling into the drains in the past. On the other hand, a too wide thing is much more efficient to dig than a one wide thing, because there's always something that the miner can immediately move on to, even though things are being marked as undiggable. Oops. Right, and now let's mark all of that row as channel. And then we go up a level and basically do the same thing again. Do kind of need someone to get down here and do some smoothing soon, though. Assuming that anyone's going to. I'm slightly worried it might turn out that you can't smooth the edge of the map in the now, which will make this kind of drainage a lot harder. So I'm going to mark more walls for smoothing so I can see whether there's a reason why things aren't, whether the reason why things aren't getting smoothed is that you can't smooth off the edge of the map or on the edge of the map. Oops. No, I didn't mean that. Come back. I need not to get ahead of the miner. What? Thank you. Right, so we're getting close to the top of this now. So I need to think a little bit about how we cut into the bottom of the river. Because what we want to do is we want to dig an upward ramp. And that obviously requires that we be standing on the floor below. Or is it even the floor below the floor below? Yes, what we want is be on this level. I shouldn't have dug this corridor so wide. This is going to go slightly wrong. Maybe not. I'm sure it'll be fine. So the idea is something like I'm slightly wondering what order we do this in. Is smoothing thus a job only for engravers? That would might explain why. Yes, I think that might include smoothing, and we've only got 2 people scheduled to do that. Let's say everyone does smoothing, because I would like that to be done quite soon, please. No, stop digging that section for now, because I want to think. So we need to go, at this level to dig an upward ramp. And the way that we do that without getting into trouble is that we arrange a bridge. Justin asks, is the drawbridge raisable yet? No. Have we got a lever for raising the drawbridge? Yes. Let us link that lever to the correct bridge. Right. Right, so what we want then is that this is the level from which we do the digging, the upward ramp digging, which means that we want to have a ramp we want first to dig an upward ramp. I think we actually have to go across the river quite far downstream. I think this is going to be, trying to do this way is going to be too confusing. So I think that actually means we want to dig out to about there. And that means I think we can safely dig that lot as well. No, don't dig that downwards, you idiot. Right, then I think we dig from this level a run of upward ramps along there. And I think we carefully observe what the consequences of that are. So what that does is it makes a downward ramp above and an upward ramp on, or rather it makes an open space above and an upward ramp on this level. So then the idea is that standing here, which is the square below here, you can dig an upward ramp in this square, which will penetrate the bottom of the river. But the trick here is that we dig an additional tunnel, make it 2 squares wide, through to here, and then we construct a bridge over this, which means that that upward digging actually happens in a way that we never penetrate the in a way that we never actually touch. The dwarf never gets wet. This is slightly mad, but I think this works. I've never tried this trick before, but I've read about it in the wiki. That's a terribly scary thing to say, isn't it? Here is a very dangerous thing. Well, I've read about it. So now I think I want to construct a bridge across here. Which will fold up to the left and be that size. Then probably to discourage dwarves from doing anything dangerous, we then want to wall that off, don't we? But we wait for the bridge to be built and enlevered. Has that tribute actually been delivered? No. I think the tribute may have got delayed by something. Let's just do a quick health check on the dwarf on the thing. You're getting thirsty. I hope someone's going to come along and push that minecart then. I think minecarts are rarely high priorities, sadly. So there's a task there for pushing a minecart, but no one's even assigned to it yet. Right, we can drain that thing if we really have to, but I would like someone to push the minecart. Minecarts are totally life-critical applications. I think this dwarf here is coming to hook up this bridge. No, they're just using it to get across the river. This dwarf is coming to hook up the bridge. In particular, setting this minecart off is kind of a life-critical application for the dwarf who's currently stuck in the dwarf washer. Don't think I have like any restrictions on who can push minecarts now. Oh, that's currently officially assigned to Group 6. Maybe there's a slight danger that someone's actually taking that seriously. Everybody does this. I mean, I don't think we care about that anyway. I mean, I thought that never worked properly, but it would of course be just my luck for it to start working when I need it not to work. Well, now someone is pushing that vehicle, so that's good. Our thirsty dwarf will probably get out. And probably before they starve to death, it would be highly embarrassing. If they starved to death while riding a minecart. So here's our other minecart rider, who is about to save the first minecart rider from themselves, if they can work out how to get up the stairs. Whee! If someone dies while riding a minecart, do you think their corpse stays in the minecart? This one's only a dabbling swimmer, so if they get stuck for ages, that will be good. Oh dear, we have a problem. We've got the same problem here, that this roller isn't able to push this minecart up the ramp. That's weird. Right, and that means no one's getting out until we drain the place. Right, time to drain it. These levers are in a wider variety of positions than I would have expected. Oh, the pool pump control works backwards, doesn't it? Because I didn't bother toggling that thing. Where's the pool drain? That one, right. Right, everyone gets to derail horribly now as all the water goes shoo up out of the bottom of the swimming pool. Minecarts go in all directions. Excitement ensues. Actually, that minecart seems to be staying precisely where it's meant to be. This one is going all over the place. Someone else has tried to ride a minecart because draining this caused things to unblock. I should probably set all of the minecarts to do not try to move now. Well, let's flip all of these to do not ride for now. I need to get my left trackpad button mended, by which I mean replaced. So how's our smoothing request going on? Because it's getting quite deep down here. We're going to need to dig some more space out just to store the water soon. Still don't seem to have any smooth tasks going on. What's with that? I'm pretty sure. Let's do it explicitly with a rectangle and just go bonk, bonk. Everything on that floor, on that level, must be smoothed. Is there some rule about how far away you have to be from the map edge to be allowed to smooth things? Like if I mark some random bit of wall here for smoothing, does that trigger a smooth job? Doesn't seem to have. I am confused about smoothing. Is there some silliness like I've got it set to only smooth gems? Yeah, that all looks good. I'm quite confused. Right, so we have a problem that, of course, that this minecart is now wobbling back and forth. And the reason why I drained everything was so that was because we had a problem with minecarts getting up the exit ramp, didn't we? Yes. So what we should do is we should deassign so Dwarf Washer NB minecart is at its stop. We should thus deassign that minecart so that we can get it removed. Then we can release this minecart to go back to its stop. So in particular we can mark, it's currently bouncing back and forth at signal N3. So if we empty N3, then that will allow it to proceed. And then we can try to work out how we're going to make minecarts more reliably climb the ramps. I mean, I have no idea whether this trade caravan will have anything we want, but let's move the usual set of stuff upstairs. That one turns out to have like 3 items of clothing in it that we actually want to dispose of. Oh no, we can't trade away figurines for some reason. Oh, if we're going to... We currently only make figurines... Do we only make figurines out of shell, which we don't have? How have we managed to get a damaged crown? Anything in there made of leather? Yes. Right, does this contain anything worn? No. Excellent. We don't have to move that bin then. No, don't move that bin. We do still have a bit of a surplus of bins. Actually, one thing I could possibly usefully do is to make the second-hand clothes stockpile also take leather armour, because we generally can't melt that down and we don't want to keep it. Because leather armour is pretty useless as armour. One's got some leather armour in it, and if we put the leather armour in a different stockpile from all the other armour, then they wouldn't end up mixed up in the same bins. But that is the thing for when I'm not immediately in the process of getting bins taken up to the trade depot. I mean, also we should have a stockpile for keeping armour in. We should probably be close to the place where we melt it, because a major thing we do with foreign armour is melt it down. There's also an argument that we should better optimise our... is there anything in there we can sell? Because we can't sell figurines and the jugs are all empty. Usually seems to be the case that the worn things are at the bottom of the list. Nothing there. Blop. We may be a bit short of things to sell today. Possibly I should put some more effort into actually making trade goods. On the other hand, we're usually a bit short of things to buy, so like we just like buying cheese. I'm slightly disturbed by how little royal jelly I found. Now everyone's bringing, well, only 12 people can be bringing items to the depot because there are only 12 items to bring. Apparently there's someone unwell. Let's investigate them. Still doesn't seem to be anyone smoothing anything. Right, dwarf advances to the next track section where they get stuck again. No, there they go. So now we just need to clear N5 in order to allow them out. So it should absolutely get stuck there because we removed a minecart from the track section ahead of them without sending it through a pressure plate. Let's not raise that drawbridge until we're confident that everyone has crossed it. I think we are now. The last merchant has, last merchants have made it across. So, what was I going to do? Yes. First, are we actually butchering those buzzards? Possible that they can't be butchered. We should investigate that. So that's now connected, so I think we can now pull that lever and raise the drawbridge. Seem to have some slugs in that stockpile. And there the minecart sets off, returns to the end of the track and stops. Right, so why are they not... So those are the rollers that are meant to push the minecart up the ramp. I surely didn't change those ones. Did I? Did I make a mistake and change those rollers for slower ones? How would I be able to tell? Like, the awkward thing is you can't really tell how fast a roller is configured for once it's been built. So do I just demolish them, construct some speed 5 rollers and hope for the best? I don't really like that as a plan. Right, now the... oh dear, why? Oh, you're just upset because you're outside, that's fine. Right, so now that drawbridge is raised and therefore future vile forces of darkness can't try to cross it. Naku, wow, that's a good name. Naku Bustus Strodno's head is now available. Can we put that in on a pedestal? I suspect not, because I don't know that it's rotted away enough yet. Oh no, there it is, right. Oops, we've accidentally got that track section marked as unoccupied. Let's fix that. Well, we need that to be dealt with first by pulling that lever, so we'll leave that to happen first. Still 2 items need to be moved up to the trade depot. So let's try to organise armour storage better. So the second-hand clothes stockpile, I think, should in addition to finished goods, should also take all kinds of armour made of leather. And I suppose like cloth, shell, anything that's not metal actually, so all other materials, but not shields, because we actually quite like wooden shields. And then we should remove from this, from stockpile 1, which has like everything in it, we should say no armour made of other materials, and oh actually no, we should say no armour at all, that's actual armour rather than clothing, should go into this stockpile, with the possible exception of shields, which we don't generally melt down. These wooden shields could be kept here. So let's say wooden shields are kept up here, and then all metal armour should be kept down here somewhere. Including metal shields. Because that's not a bad place to keep it if you actually want to use it, and is certainly a good place to keep it if you're... What are you guys doing? Are you learning about interesting things? Yes, they're learning about machinery. Excellent. The problem is now the water's too deep down here to do any carving. Like, we can fix that, but it will be a faff. Why is no one smoothing anything? Do I need to, like, muck around with things somewhere? Why is no one butchering any... Possibly because these corpses are too small and don't have enough bits to butcher, to be fair. I'm sure we'll get around to some figurines in due course. I mean, that's probably actually a dwarf tooth, but hey. As long as some part of the dwarf gets properly buried, it doesn't really matter about the rest. Why is that glove forbidden? I've no idea. Now the dwarves are probably all hauling things between those new stockpiles I've set up. Yes. Right, so now we should make sure we mark N5 as full, because otherwise embarrassment will ensue. I mean, not much embarrassment, to be fair. So let's sort out the trading. Come on, bring the one remaining item and then I can trade. All right, you're very nearly there, are you? Apparently so. Right, let's see if these guys have anything we actually want, except that the broker is busy eating. Right, so what are we doing about these? These ramps then. Do we just try making the assume that we got the rollers wrong and we need to make them faster? How much spare power have we got? It's hard to calculate because so many things here can be turned on and off. Right, so these two have a total supply of 80. They can use 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 47, 49, 51, 52, 54, 56, 58, 60, 62, 64, 66. So we could add additional rollers. so that we just shove the things all the way up the ramp. If we 60, what did I said 66, didn't I? So that means that we have 14 more, which means we can install 7 more rollers. And if we installed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that would push the minecart actively all the way up to the ramp. And I think we would still have enough power under all circumstances. So I think that's what I'm going to do. And the general route is that things go out along the middle and back along the outside, don't they? Yes. So it's the outside that we need to sort out. Yes, most of the dwarves are now involved in moving armour to different places in the fortress. And like, there are good reasons for this and everything. But it is probably going to tie them up. And like, why is no one doing any smoothing? I don't understand the smoothing situation. We have in the past not had problems with smoothing things. I mean, that was like 2 versions of Dwarf Fortress ago, so who knows what they're thinking now. Right, yes, so for the way that we produce figurines is this make wax crafts job, which happens whenever we have beeswax available, which is always. Right, so now the dwarves are dismantling the unneeded rollers, or rather the needed, but we want to enhance them rollers. Right, so that's those rollers dismantled. Let's just cancel any tasks to put the bits of the rollers into storage, because obviously we have better uses for them. So now we can go build machine rollers. So we want rollers that run rightwards, obviously, and they want to be 4 squares long, maximum speed, like that. They require 2 mechanisms. So one of them can just be made with the local mechanisms. We were never asked about the chains. Do those just happen? Similarly, rightward, full speed up this ramp. Yes, I'm curious about the chains. Do they just find a chain? I mean, there is an obvious nearby one in each case, but, well, we'll see. Yes, we can now see the vast number of dwarves carrying bits of armour around, often in very unhelpful directions, because the staircases are a complete nightmare in this place. But we are now amassing bits of armour down here including an entire bin full of it, and I can now just wander through this, marking things that look like utter rubbish for melting. Though frankly all copper armour is probably rubbish. You can see that they've got a second bin and have started filling that with bits of copper armour as well. And other metals. Yeah, see, they did put a bit of rope into that one. It was just apparently so obvious that I didn't need to be told which rope was going to be put in there. Or need to be asked which rope should be put in there. And that is still a ramp, even though it has a roller on it. The other one will take a bit longer to build because we have to find the mechanisms. So what is going on with the smoothing? Ah, we're trading now, are we? Good. Our food supplies are getting silly. I think we should try not to buy food, but what else do we have to buy? The broker hasn't actually made it to the trade depot yet. Is that our broker? No, no. Right, that square bracket is actually a wood furnace. Actually, it occurs to me we should probably be willing to cut down fruit trees on the east side of the East River, because it's not like we harvest those ones. Too many goblins turn up on that side of the river. Someone else getting into a fight with a buzzard. We've got someone shooting people. You can't shoot people. Oh, that's probably the visitors, isn't it? They're shooting the buzzards. Right. Let's just mark everything we might want to get rid of for sale. And then see what we can buy with it. Because frankly, I think we're past the point where we actually care. We're mostly trying to sell things to get them out of our hands. These are dwarven merchants, so they'll buy anything. But we can't sell them bins. Which will make life so much easier if we could. I'm afraid this bit is kind of tedious. If we get really organised and we were allowed to sell bins, then we could just use mark all. I suppose I could mark all and then unmark the bins. But the thing is, we do have a bunch of... We can't easily distinguish worn from unworn clothing. And so we're always going to get a mixture of worn and unworn clothing up here. Think. See, I can still spot the odd items that need to be got rid of. Also, bracelet. Oh, hang on, these are all bracelets. We can dispose of everything in here. I mean, maybe a large cut chrysoprase is not... Well, there's no use, so may as well get rid of it. Observe the buzzard skull totems. There's a lot of stuff in this bin, isn't there? Yeah, we're going to be able to buy a decent amount of stuff for this. And then we'll be able to melt things more efficiently as well, because like everything will actually be put in the right places. Raccoon leather armour. It's kind of mad. I think we should make some more wooden shields. We don't seem to have a vast surplus of them. Possibly a very worn maple shield should also be disposed of. And no, even large armour we can melt down, of course. Right, okay. First priority, do they have any books? I think codices might turn out to be useful. Let's have all their codices. And yeah, that lot too. Right, well, okay, apparently buying all of their books uses up most of our money. Indeed, they might not accept that trade. Let's hit the trade button, see what happens. Yes, we seem to get away with that. Right. Right, so we've traded away everything we think we want to get rid of. I think we should just glance through here and see if there's anything that makes me go, oh my goodness, we have to have that. But I rather doubt it. Like, we should be able to make everything we want. They haven't brought, like, a unicorn in a cage, have they? Very unlikely that dwarves will do that. And, like, we have 6,000 booze and 10,000 food. We don't need anything more to eat. Yeah, I think that will do. We've got a load of cloth and leather, but like I don't think we have a shortage of that yet. Lots of food, but we have plenty of food. We don't have very much meat because we don't eat meat for the most part. We're probably going to want some more thread and cloth at some point, but yeah, that'll do. Right. Slightly surprised that we don't seem to have accumulated any goblin bits over there at the moment. You're just shooting buzzards. Oh, we're out of gypsum again. We'll probably mine some up here if we put in dig down into that section. Just start an open cast gypsum mine. Well, see what we can find down there. then actually what we could do is, can we now mark the bins that are currently there as no longer required? Yes, and then those can get sorted into the new armour locations as appropriate, which should improve matters a bit. Right, those both of those track circuits are now showing occupied. We're still waiting for people to haul all of the necessary mechanisms to those rollers. Pretty sure I've marked that wall for smoothing several times and it's still not being smoothed. Doesn't look like there's very much I suppose we could actually dig away that wall, couldn't we, and then replace it with porcelain bricks. Which actually means I should cancel. Yes, why? What? Given that we don't currently have access to that area, why on earth am I doing it? Can we use that mode? Yes. Working out where I can safely go to. I mean, it shouldn't start mining into the damp rock that keeps the sea out. Yeah, we're trying to get you some gypsum, don't worry. I suggest food. This may not be a very helpful suggestion. Right. Let's also install any... Okay, right, I think we may actually have run out of coffin construction jobs. But I think we also have decent amounts of empty tombs now, so that should be less embarrassing. Oh, right, all of our rollers have been built and they're not working. What? Oh, maybe that's because I'm paused. Right, yes, all the rollers are working, but I've just scheduled digging out a load of gypsum from the sides of that room. That's fine. then let's wall in that lot. Right, that's going to be a pretty decent gypsum line, isn't it? So as we dig out gypsum around the edge of the dwarf washer, we're constructing new porcelain brick walls to hold it in. And then that there will be the route out once people have put the walls in. Annoyingly, some of these walls are invisible because they're black on black. Right. Now we just need to wait for that wall to be put back in, and we have a slight additional supply of gypsum. I wonder if there are any more gypsum clusters around on this level, because like up here is a very convenient place to get gypsum. May as well mine that one square of amber opal as well. There's a slight danger that these walls will get suspended several times while people are walking through them as they're being built. Plus, of course, dwarves will occasionally have to reroute. Well, at the point when the last wall is put in, there will suddenly be a burst of rerouting. Right, here comes the last set of bricks. Rendered complicated by the fact that everyone wants to walk through that gap in the wall, but we've successfully sealed it. Sudden confusion on the part of a turkey as it has to reroute, but it's found a new idea, so that's fine. And now we have a bit more of a supply of gypsum, so we should be able to make more plaster. Right, now can everyone please clear the dwarf washer? It's time to refill it. We should turn off the drain first. It's fine for people to be occasionally cleaning up the blood from the dwarf washer. Yes, okay, you're allowed to name your sword if you really want to. Right, pool drain is now closed, so now we can start the pumps, please. Right, I think no one is going to butcher those bits of buzzard. I think they're too small. I think we should just throw them all away. I think basically if you remove very much of a buzzard, it becomes too small to be worth butchering. Right, and now the dwarf washer is refilling. All of the track circuits are in the correct state, which is nice. So how's the metal armour stockpile looking? It's certainly got some things it shouldn't have in it, but that's fine. Oh, someone is withdrawing from society to make an artefact. Should we just melt down all the copper armour? Because it's not like we're going to wear it, is it? I mean, iron we would barely consider acceptable. Obviously steel armour is worth keeping. But also, curiously enough, doesn't end up in our stockpiles very much because people wear it. Oops. Scrolled, surprisingly. Oh, it's probably scrolling because things are happening about higher up in the list as things get taken away. Let's pause while I do this. Or maybe I shouldn't. Maybe it's more fun not to pause. Plus, like, stuff happens then in the background while I'm not looking. Not much bronze around, is there? You'd have thought that would be more popular. There's some bronze. See, bronze is almost as good as iron. We'll keep that for now. I think I may have missed something in that page. Yes. We should probably find something to make from all of this copper. I mean, chains and such like are one thing we can do. There we go. That's a bunch of stuff to melt. Mark more things, but like maybe I've marked enough now. Right, good. Our strange mood is doing something sensible. The merchant's clearing off. Maybe we should build a load of enormous copper statues or something. Getting bored with this now. Let's go back. Actually, I should pay some attention because I might have overfilled the dwarf washer. Not yet. Right, we should actually, since we would like to install 2 additional mine carts, let's fix N5 and S5 to full for the moment. Bet I won't be able to get the water levels as right as I did last time. I'll shut off the pumps around now though. I think the pumps are off. Should probably look at what people are wearing and see if we need to make different clothes. Like, okay, here's someone wearing two separate crowns, one of water buffalo hoof and one of honeybee wax. Slightly worn shoes, otherwise looking quite happy really. Oh, have we finished those last two weapon traps? Yes, we should build more weapon traps. Oh, weren't there objects on some of those islands? Actually, we haven't finished all the weapon traps. That one's still waiting to be built. How odd. Resume construction. Right, let's see if this levels out at the correct level. I'm a bit uncertain. I think I might have put slightly too little water in. I think my attempts at like clothing type specific why is that forbidden? Also, why is that forbidden? That's weird. Clothing type specific stockpiles have not really been a great success over here. Newt. So, Steph, I will go to bed fairly soon, but I'd like to set the dwarf washer going again. Which means first waiting for the... You've constructed a single artifact mitten. Well done. Morolasol Stoluthoth. Page seized the dimpled aura. A Kakapo leather right mitten. All craft dwarf ship is of the highest quality. It is encrusted with oval shale cabochons and cushion-cut chrysoprases, decorated with beak dog bone and encircled with bands of round claystone cabochons. This object menaces with spikes of kakapo leather, beak dog bone, llama wool and amber opal. So there. Yes. We do have a one-handed dwarf. Don't know. Or at least we did have a one-handed dwarf. Let's just check if we've still got one. Yes. So we could give them a job and then make that single mitten a like symbol of office of that job. We could just make them a messenger, which is like not very high, not very important. Hang on, why can't I? Do I have to wait? Allow the game to run before I can add them? Yes. Now I do actually have to look up what the object was again. What was its name? Morolasol Storluthoth. I bet it, hang on, I should check which hand they've got. It was a right mitten, wasn't it? Oh, but his right hand is gone. How sad. So that's not going to help. Oops, I just fired the wrong messenger. Oh well. So we do actually have a surplus of left hands in this fortress. I might not be quite so patient about waiting for every square of 3 deep water to vanish. Not sure, as I was last time. Right, the merchants are leaving, taking whatever weird trinkets we sold them with them. Oh dear, there's an agitated giant Kia out there. Yes, I think it's probably best to suspend the construction of the weapon traps while there's an agitated giant Kia in the area. Because it will be rather or indeed 3 of them, because it might be rather easy for the... maybe if they just come over to the trade depot, they can be shot. You've come up against our rabbits again, you fool. Well, not again, I suppose. I'm slightly alarmed by that rather fast-moving airborne rabbit. Well, it seems to have survived. It didn't quite end up in the sea. There appears here to be like, what? That looks like it's 5 or so rabbits all wrestling a Kia. Yes, they are. Possibly because the Kia has passed out, and so everyone is just biting the Kia in the head. Yes. Do not mess with Keskalokil's rabbits. Right. One giant Kia killed by Keskalokil's spectacular rabbits, and possibly some others, but mostly the rabbits. I think the other giant Kias are around somewhere, but possibly they know better than to get involved. Bit worried we might be running out of soap. I should pay attention to that next time. Right, that water level is mostly stable. Right, someone is now lugging the giant Kia back to the fortress for... Oh, there's another giant Kia around somewhere being agitated. Apparently fighting with a sea otter. Right, so let us configure the minecarts in Dwarf Washer to be launchable, but for now untenanted, while we give them a pass through the system. So NA and SA should both be set to use but don't ride. And then we'll set up NB and SB. So there is apparently, oh yes, there's an agitated giant Kia. It's become invisible. One thing about birds is, of course, they do fly, so they're a bit hard to track. Yeah, we might be able to put some, I mean, obviously it'll be a bit of a pain to put things in the, statues in the dwarf washer right now, but we could. Right, so that minecart is now paused there, so now we can set up NB. So we need to assign a suitable minecart and set the conditions to push off for now. Let's see, what, actually fighting or just standing up? Yes, for some reason we have a fight between a sea otter and a dog. Which has been fatal for the sea otter, partly because it was not just one dog. It was a great mob of dogs. Now we have an incoming agitated buzzard. Indeed, my dogs in general seem to be going after the sea otters at the moment. Right. Just waiting for the approach locking to clear. No. S2 signal is active. Why is S2 signal active? Because we believe S2 to be occupied, right? Yes, well, let's fix that. So now we have a second Pearwood minecart. That's NB. Let's just check that. That should be, we should then set that to be pushed off. No, before we set that to be pushed off, we should not set that to be pushed off. We should switch we should first mark, unless we're going to try, do you think we can fit 3 minecarts in here? Oh, go on, let's try it. Let's set that one going and try putting in a third one. This may be a bit optimistic. The sea otter has been got back to the butcher's shop rather faster than the giant Kia. Right, second minecart in N is now underway. So it should be held at this signal. Oh, that's bad. Why was it not held at N4? Is there some disaster like N4 is set to permanently empty? No. Why was it not held at N4? That's bad. Because now that minecart is going to collide with that minecart and unhappiness will ensue. Boing. Right. And meanwhile, S4 is... Have I cross-wired N4 and S4? Because S4 is showing us full. But it isn't. Look here. That signal S4. Oh dear. A child has died, probably due to being grumpy. Because S4 starts from that signal and runs round to there and is definitely... Hang on. No. Starts from that signal and runs out to there and is definitely occupied. And yet this thing is stuck at... I can test this, can't I? S4 detect. That only shows one thing it's linked to. That's surely not correct. Because it's got too many mechanisms to be only linked to one thing. S4 detect appears to be linked to S3 empty. S5 detect appears to be linked to S4 empty. N4 detect appears to be linked to N3 empty. N5 detect appears to be linked to N4 empty. We don't seem to see the fill ones at all. Looks like we don't get to see all of the linked buildings, which is inconvenient, to put it mildly. I think we're going to need to do some testing, though. Right, so that's still not working right. What should we do? Mostly, I think what we should do is go to bed. So maybe I'll leave this disaster here and we can come back and fix it properly. I hope everyone here is just fighting... Yeah, okay. They're not fighting one another, they're just fighting... Oh, did Nishgema Shubble get killed by a agitated giant Kia? That's a pity. Ah, right, yes, that's what happened to Nishkemashable. A giant Kia killed them. What a pity. Oh well. Right, yes. I think I need to test some sleep as well. I think I need, yes, to do some slightly better testing of this signalling system because I think something is not working right. But we will get back to that on Friday, where we can also try to work out why we can't smooth anything. The consequence of which is that everything is flooded in the area we were hoping to smooth things in. Right, well, yes, we'll come back to that on Friday and maybe work out what's going on. It's probably something like we had before where the labours weren't getting assigned correctly and we found that doing something random fixed it. Until then, though, good night.